webinar, Ensure Reading and Writing Success for All English Learners. I'm Doug Cavaliers with McGraw-Hill Education, and I'll be the webinar moderator for today's session. Before we get started, I just want to go over a few quick housekeeping items. The webinar is being presented in listen-only mode, which means you'll be able to hear the presenter, but she will not be able to hear you today. However, that doesn't mean you cannot participate. We, of course, want to hear any questions you have, and we'll also be offering a chance to interact through polling. So just keep an eye out for that and type those questions into the question panel. Today, joining us is Marisa Russo. Marisa is a National Bilingual Curriculum Specialist with McGraw-Hill Education and is experienced at creating professional development for pre-K to K to 6th grade educators and administrators. She's created teacher workshops, model lessons within all grade levels, and spoken at international reading conferences. Marisa, welcome, and thanks for being on the webinar.
Thank you, Doug. Can you hear me?
Yep, you sound great.
Oh, wonderful. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am so excited to share my presentation on ensuring reading, writing success for all English learner. You're in for a real treat today, and I just want you to know this will be recorded, and we will send you a link and a follow-up. But at the end of the presentation, you'll have a chance to also ask some questions. So let's get started, everybody, and thanks again for joining us today. What are the goals for today's webinar? I think this is important for everybody to understand because I received a lot of questions. This is just for English language learners. And no, the instructional strategies that you're going to learn today, they are key tips for both the approaching level students and English learners. I'm going to model key strategies and teacher tips that are perfect for differentiation in small group, one-on-one, perfect for pre-teaching or reteaching. So let's take a look at what we're going to really focus on. We're focusing on common errors that are linked to the student's first language, okay? This is going to be a big part of the presentation because we want to find out phonetically what can be done to help these students understand English phonemes, okay, the sounds of the English language, especially for those who have trouble producing some of our English sounds. We're going to focus on support for decoding and encoding. So reading and spelling, everybody, because oftentimes what we have seen, and I'm sure you're aware of this, great readers aren't always great spellers. It's not, they don't go hand in hand. So we really want to focus on giving them the tools to become lifelong successful spellers. And then finally, the end of the presentation is going to be really focused on strategies for building academic language. Academic vocabulary. This is very important, everybody, because I'm referring to words that are not necessarily common or words that children would not encounter in conversation. For example, words, instead of saying watch me, you can say observe me as I sing the alphabet song. So kind of shifting the way we speak to students, because once they hear it over and over again, it will become very much a common word for them. I remember saying predict a lot when I was the first grade teacher. Instead of saying, what do you think the answer is going to be? What do you think is going to happen next? I say, let's make a prediction what the story is going to be about. Let's predict the ending. And once they heard it, by mid-year, my little Ernesto, he said to me, when he heard a knock on the door, he said, Miss Russo, I predict it's the principal. Naturally saying that at age 6. So it was really an exciting moment for me where he used the word predict, which a 6-year-old normally does not use in conversation. So also academic vocabulary is going to help with students understand oral direction in classroom instructional dialogue, and it'll also help students comprehend text across different content areas. That's including math, science, and social studies. So we have a lot to cover today, and I'm glad you're here. So let's take a look at phonetic difficulties with students coming from another language background, okay? So from language 1. English digraphs, ladies and gentlemen, are very difficult for students. They are sounds that they probably don't have in language 1, their primary language. We're going to look at ending sounds in English because oftentimes students omit the ends of words. This is not only English learners, everybody. You've seen EO children, English-only children, omit the ends of their words. If they do not say the ending sound, let's say the word is stand, and they say stan, that's what they're going to produce in print. You produce what you say, right? You write the way you speak. So that's going to be a thing we're going to work on today. And consonant blends, again, this is very unique to English. Consonant blends are tough because we don't normally isolate the two. We teach them as a pair. So let's talk about that a moment. And then a chunk of the presentation is going to be on how to support the vowel sounds and the vowel spellings in English, because there's so many vowels in the English language, and that's going to be something that's going to help them with reading and writing. So if you have a chance to look at the contrastive analysis chart, you will notice that they have beautiful suggestions on sounds that do not transfer over. So when you look at the TH sound for example, you'll see that all language groups that I've looked at, the top 12 languages spoken in the United States, okay, whether they're coming from Arabic, Cantonese, Farsi, Haitian Creole, Hmong, Japanese, Korean, Portuguese, Russian, Spanish, Tagalog, or Vietnamese backgrounds, they cannot say this TH sound. So they're probably going to say, instead of saying think, they're probably going to say sink or tink. So most of what we have to do, everybody, is say, watch my mouth. You can't say listen all the time, because listening for the difference is not going to help them. Sometimes you cannot hear it. You can see the sound difference. So make sure that you show them what your mouth is doing, the positioning of your mouth, and that will help them with distinguishing that pronunciation, because it does look different. When you say think, your tongue is in between your teeth versus sink or tink. So make sure you say, watch my mouth with sound production. Oftentimes, speech therapists have mirrors that show the students what their mouth looks like when they are producing that particular sound. Final sound elimination. Let's talk about final sound elimination. When we are working on phonemic awareness, phonemic awareness plays a bigger role in learning to read than IQ, basically. This is how we learn how to read, by sounds, right? Phonemes to graphemes. So when we look at the word like fast, oftentimes students say, he runs so fast. Look at the common errors I show in my box there. He runs so fast. Or I want to stand by you. They say stand. Or, Mr. So can I go first? So these are common errors in speech. And it's never their fault if they are producing language like this, because they are producing what they actually hear us say. So oftentimes we maybe could pronounce words a bit more clearly. So please, everybody, let's take a look at phonemic awareness activities with eliminating the ending sound. Now, especially blends. Ending blends are very, very tough. So what I'd like for you to do when you're working with ending sounds is focus on just the ending sound, not the ending blend. So when you're working on a word like fast, you're not going to say fast. Don't put ST as one. You want to focus on ending sound, because that's what usually is eliminated in speech and actually in writing. So you're going to pause after the S. So let's go fast, one breath, and then say the final sound. So what's the word, everybody? Fast. Let's do lamp. Lamp. What's the word, everybody? Lamp. Good. Stand. What's the word? Stand. So make sure there's one breath between that ending sound. So these are activities that you can do with your hand, showing the hands coming together for the different parts of the word. You can use a puppet. Make sure your puppet's on your correct hand, because if you put them on your right hand, it may look odd because he's doing ending sounds, right? So make sure the puppet's on the correct hand if you're working on ending sounds. Let's take a look at some additional beginning consonant blends. here is what you probably have heard your students say to you, especially from a Spanish-speaking background. They might say, school, sleep, study. Remember, people transfer from what they know from language 1 to language 2. So they transfer from what they know from their beginning language to their second language. So if they say asleep and study and school, they are doing what they do in Spanish, where they say estudiar, estudiante, escuela. See, they have a vowel before their S blend in Spanish. So this is, again, a phonemic awareness issue. That's it. Okay, it's nothing that can't be corrected. It's a phonemic awareness issue where they have to hear the beginning sound in isolation. Don't put blends together. So you're not going to do a phonemic awareness lesson where you go full eep. Don't put SL together because that is a blend. We're going to isolate the beginning sound when we're working on phonemic awareness activities. Remember, this is something students don't see. When you show the letters to the sounds, it's a phonics lesson. We want to make sure this is a phonemic awareness lesson where they're focusing on sounds only. Okay, so let's do the word sleep together. Ready? So the puppet's on my right hand, or whatever you want to do, your hands or your puppet, and you go sleep. Word, sleep. Excellent. Truck. Word, truck. Excellent. Now let me tell you why we're taking the T away from the R for truck. Notice some of your kids will say truck. Have you noticed that? My friend has a red truck, Miss Russo, truck. So this is to help the students truly hear the blends and separated, because a blend is not one sound. A blend are two sounds put together, right? A digraph, of course, can't be separated because it's two or more letters that make one sound, like the sh and the s. But the TR, the SL, the BR, these are sounds that can be separated so students can hear them. So we don't want them to say truck because they will write CH, R, U, K, or CK. They will write the way they speak. So isolate T from the ruck, ruck, or look at dress. Dress is another one. Oftentimes you hear students say dress with a J. Have you heard that before? Mr. So you like my dress? And they write that. They're going to write what they actually hear. So we want to make sure that we isolate the D from the rest, the sound D. So we do D, rest. Word, dress. And then bright is another one. You oftentimes hear ba-right or ga-rape. We want them to hear the sounds purely. So this is just an activity, quick activity. Phonemic awareness is honestly just a few minutes of your time, and it's worth it to make sure the students really understand that sounds are part of your word. So words are composed of sounds, and then these sounds have the print. Okay, now I have a poll that I'd like to actually start. Why work on phonological awareness before phonics? This is a question for everybody out there. Doug will actually set it up, and A answer is print should be taught before speech. That's an option. Or B, speech should be taught before print, which is phoneme to grapheme. Or C, phonics isn't as difficult, or is it there is no difference, is D. So will you let me know what your choice is? We'll just give you just a few seconds. Okay. Wonderful, everybody. I love this. 96% of you said B. Speech should come before print. All alphabetic languages should be speech to print or phoneme to grapheme. For those of you who have looked at your Common Core State Standards, that's what they're calling it. They don't call it speech to print anymore. Our new language is phoneme to grapheme. Phoneme is your speech, and grapheme is your letters or your spellings to go along with the sounds. So let's take a look right here at the sequence of language learning. Keep this in mind, everybody. How do we learn language? We are first listeners, then we speak, then we'll read, and then we'll write. So keep this in mind when we're working with our are struggling students. They need to understand speech before we can get them to read and write. So just a reminder. Good job, everybody. Another way to reinforce phoneme to grapheme is to actually have some sort of a game or an activity, whether it's their fingers, whether it's little buttons or a magnetic board, where students actually count how many sounds they hear in a word. So let's say the word is flight. Always give an example of the word flight in a sentence. So when you work with students, whether it's a spelling test or a dictation or a phonemic awareness activity, remember this routine for me. Word, sentence, repeat the word. Just remember those 3 steps. Word, sentence, repeat the word. Okay, word, sentence, word. So the word is flight, everybody. What's the word? Flight. Miss Russo sometimes is scared to go on the airplane. She's scared of the flight from Los Angeles to Rome because it's such a long flight. Okay, so just an example. What's the word, everybody? Flight. Let's go with the first sound, everybody. What's the first sound in flight? Remember, we're saying sounds. Oops, it's stuck. Okay, first sound is. What's the next sound in flight? Make sure you really reinforce. Ooh, excellent. I'm not asking for spellings. I'm not saying, yes, it's L. I'm not saying that. Yes, it's F, because that would be a phonics lesson, right? So we're working on phonemic awareness first. Vowel sound in flight. I. Excellent. Okay, and last sound in flight. Good. And so how many sounds do we hear in the word flight? 4. Excellent. So eventually, once they get this connection, the way this will improve spelling is unbelievable, because they realize every sound that they hear has to have some sort of print to go along with it. How phenomenal is that? That's the number one reason why students are afraid to spell. They never got that connection. Oh, if I hear a sound, let me put a spelling to that sound. Talk about perfection when it comes to learning how to spell a word. Speech to print, everybody. Phoneme to grapheme. Now, let's take a look at this. Perhaps the single biggest pronunciation problem for English learners are English vowel sounds. Okay? This is really important. I don't know if anybody's read Overcoming Dyslexia by Dr. Sally Shaywitz, and you'll notice that she has all the research on how difficult it is for students to understand the vowel sounds or the vowel spellings, because there's so many in English. So let's take a look at how confusing it can be. In kindergarten, in first grade, we usually tell the students that the sound is what? A or a. They usually learn 2 sounds with this symbol. Am I correct? But let's take a look at English and how much it can be, how difficult it really can be. Let's take a look. We have A in acorn. We have a in apple. We have the sound in also. We have the sound in alive. So far we have a, a. Let's take a look. We have art, which is R controlled, AR, right? R. We have air. Okay, so we have another vowel sound for this symbol, and we have this word aisle, where the A doesn't have a sound here. So do you see how confusing it can be? This one symbol in English could have 6, 7 sounds, 8. It depends on the vowel spelling, so this is very difficult. So let's take a look how well do you know your vowels? Are you ready? We're going to have a poll again. How many vowel sounds do you think exist in English? I know we all learned A-E-I-O-U, so let's take a look. Do you think it is going to be 5 vowel sounds in English? Are there 11 vowel sounds in English? Are there 16? Or are there over 18 vowel sounds in the English language? Will you guys take a few moments and let me know what your answer is, and we'll discuss this in just a moment. Okay, everybody, let's see, we're almost done here. Some are still coming in. 72% said D, over 18. Yes, everybody. I want to share something with you. If you take a look at your Appendix A of the Common Core State Standards, okay, you look at Appendix A, they actually are going to list all the vowel sounds. So let me show you what that looks like. All the vowel sounds and all of the spellings. So just so you know, there are about 20 vowel sounds depending on the kind of English we're talking about, American English, British English, 20 vowel sounds. And I'd like you to know that there are about over 60 ways to spell the vowels in English, okay? Just take a look at the sound E at the top. The sound E can be spelled E-N-C. It could be spelled E-Y in key. It could be spelled I-E in babies. It could be spelled E-I in either. So you see how many ways that one sound can be spelled. So this is really important information for all of you because now you can see where the difficulty comes from. So let's do a quick lesson here that what you can do with students who are struggling with the vowels in English. You can do something that's been around, oh goodness, I'd say over 4 decades now. There's a routine called vowel first blending. Vowel first blending is designed to really show students the vowel patterns, reinforce the vowel patterns, and then build the word. So this is perfect for pre-teaching. Why am I saying pre-teaching versus reteaching? Because pre-teaching means you set them up for success. You front load the information so they can be successful at reading. Okay, reteaching is, let me show you again because you didn't get it. Okay, so pre-teaching is, I'm going to show you what's going to happen in this lesson, and then when the lesson comes, you're ready. So you're really setting them up for being successful. So let's take a look at this particular sound A, everybody. Sound is A, and today we're going to focus on the spelling A blank E. A blank E is our focus today, okay? Our sound is what? A, and our spelling today is A blank E, or some people call it a consonant E. That's fine too. So let's take a look at what we're going to blend. We're going to blend what sound? A. Good. We're going to do one more time. A. Actually, let's do it a couple more times. What sound? A. What sound? A. Our sound today, our focus is A. And what's our spelling of the sound A today? A blank E. Good. So let's start blending. Here we go, everybody. K. Tay. May. Shay. So we have K, Tay, May, Shay so far. Let's go back to number 1 and let's blend and hold this. Okay, everybody? Cake. Word? Cake. Blend and hold is an awesome strategy, everybody. Blend and hold because some students could forget the beginning sound or actually reverse it. Sometimes you say, the word is, let's do this one right here. Take hold, everybody. Tape. What's the word, everybody? Tape. Oftentimes, students might reverse it and say pate. So blending and hold gives almost like a tune for those auditory learners that need a little tune. You know, most of us are visual, but there are lots of students who are auditory and need that little tune to hold on to. So tape. Word? Tape. Excellent. Let's do the next one. Hold, everybody. Made. Word? Made. Excellent. And finally, shame. Word? Shame. So you're looking at vowel first blending where we're focusing on a vowel pattern. Let's try one using 2 different colors. Now we're going to actually provide even more support. We're going to put the vowels in one color and the consonants in another color on the board, okay? So let's do double E, everybody, double E. Let's look at the sound E today. What sound, everybody? E. Today, Ms. Russo is going to spell it with 2 E's, E-E. How are we going to spell the sound E today? E-E, or double E. Good. Here we go, everybody. Sound E. Sound E. Sound E. Sound E. So the sound is E today. And it's spelled with 2 E's. Good. Let's start blending. Me, fee, see, T. Good. Now blend and hold number 1 for me, everybody. Blend and hold. Meat. Word? Meat. Excellent. Blend and hold, everybody. Feel. Word? Feel. Good. Blend and hold. Seed. Word? Seed. And finally, this is going to be tough. Teeth. Word? Teeth. So once you finish blending these words, you go back and build language with these words. So put these words into sentences, okay? Model it. Always model. You know, I do, we do, now you do. That's the best way to teach. So meet. I would say something like, I would love to meet the president someday. That would be so exciting. I would love to meet. So then you would ask for a sentence from a student and say, I'd like to meet the president. He'll probably repeat or say the same thing or something similar to you or she, and you ask for an extension. Why? Oh, because he's famous. Okay, so let's put that in the sentence. I'd like to meet the president because he's famous. So make sure you extend sentences this way. Ask who, what, why, where, when, and that way students understand that that's how we develop our language, by adding information. Okay, let's do one more. R-controlled vowel. R-controlled vowel is R. A-R says R. Sound, everybody? R, 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 R. So let's go ahead and start blending words with R. Car, par, char, and har. Now let's blend and hold, everybody. We're going to finish these words. Cart. Word? Cart. Excellent. Let's finish this one. Park. Word? Park. Good. Let's finish this one. Sharp. Word? Sharp. Good. So make sure that they say it the way it's supposed to be said and not just sharp. How do we speak? Sharp. Good. Hard. What is it? Hard. Let's add to hard, everybody, another vowel. Here we go. So let's do this word. Hard. Say it fast. Harder. Good. So we finish the skill of decoding, and then we go back and build language. Okay, don't chop it up and do cart and then a sentence. Park and then a sentence. You want to finish this particular piece first, which is decoding, and then add sentences. So let's improve spelling, everybody. Here we go. How do we improve spelling? Poor spellers, bottom line, poor spellers just don't know what letter goes with the sound. They just can't remember it. There's too many options. There are too many options in English when you spell, especially look at the sound J. How do you spell cage? Do you spell it with a J? Do you spell it with DGE? Do you spell it with a J? There's two. Or how do you spell the sound ch? Okay, or k. The sound k can be spelled with a C, with a K, with a CK, or in the word choir and Christmas, you have CH. So there's so many options. So that's why people are poor spellers. They just don't know which letters to use for their sound. So let's take a look at something that we've used over the years. I use as a teacher. Open Court Reading has sound spelling cards that are very easy to teach. And they have a fantastic sequence in order of frequency. So if they're spelling a word like shack, there's no way there's going to be an error in shack because there's a rule. Let's do shack together, everybody. First sound in shack. Shh. Good. And what's the spelling of sh? S-H. What's the vowel sound in shack, everybody? Ah. Good. And what's the spelling of the ah sound? A. Excellent. Now let me show you something, boys and girls. The ah sound is in a green box. Let me tell you why it's green. The green color means it's a short vowel. Okay, so all of our short vowels are going to be what color? Green. So let's take a look at the last sound in shack. Ready? Here we go. Last sound in shack. Just focus on your green because it's going to help you. All right, everybody, look at this. In English, we have C, CK, and K as the most common spellings, but we're looking for green. Which one is green to show that it's a short vowel before the CK? Excellent. So this is an awesome, awesome tool. There's nothing like it. I've never seen it. I've been teaching for years. And I've never seen anything like this, everybody, to actually teach the students by age 5 that CK is after a short vowel in English. This is a rule. So it's a beautiful thing and a beautiful gift instead of memorizing lists. I also want you to see there's a purple bar on top of the camera card. Okay, there's a purple bar, and as you can see, the SH for sh doesn't have it, and the A does not have this purple bar. The purple bar is critical information for you as an educator. The purple bar means that this sound transfers to other languages that use the Latin script. Okay, Latin script, everybody, the alphabet we use, okay? That means it transfers to over 100 languages spoken in this world. I'm talking Turkish, Polish, Vietnamese, French, Spanish, any language using the Latin script, the sound transfers, they have it. So your focus should be on other sounds that do not exist in their language. Does that make sense, everybody? So please remember the purple bar gives you tons of information. Let's do a word like bridge. First sound in bridge, everybody? B. Good. Next sound in bridge. R. Wonderful. And how do you think you spell in bridge, everybody? Would it be an R or would it be WR? Take a look at how the spellings are written on the robot card. What do you think? Good, Michael. R. Why do you think it's R, Michael? Or let's hope. Oh, because WR has a blank after it, so it's not in the middle of a word. It begins a word. Oh, so really good information. Vowel sound in bridge. I. Look at it's green. So that means it's a short vowel. Remember, everybody, green is short vowel. Last sound in bridge. Look for green, everybody. Look for green. Which one is green on the sound jump card, on the J? Good, DGE. So DGE, boys and girls, is always after a short vowel. What a gift, everybody. So see how successful students can be when they're learning to spell. When you're doing dictation, try to, especially with your most fragile, everybody, with the most fragile, you might want to make sound boxes, maybe on a piece of paper, on a little board. Just make little boxes where they put their spellings for their sounds, okay, everybody? So one box per sound, not one box per letter, one box per sound. So let's do switch, okay, switch. First sound in switch, everybody. Next sound in switch, everybody, is W. How do you spell it? W. Vowel sound in switch, everybody. I. How do you spell it? I. Good. Now this is a short vowel, right? I is a short vowel. So what's probably going to be the ending? The CH or the TCH? Look at your cards, and on the cards it shows green box TCH. So last sound in switch is ch, but how do you spell it? TCH. So speech to print. Make sure you always talk about sounds, and then how do you spell it? What's the sound? How do you spell it? Okay, now, once we know how to blend these words together, we want to make sure students can practice these words and really have success. And so decodable books are really built for fluency and built to be connected text to ensure that what you're teaching, the students are practicing. So it's early success in reading, okay? So, connected text, everybody, is when you use all your beginning readers to build fluency and develop reading strategies that ensure reading success. These words are linked as opposed to words in a list. They are linked in sentences, phrases, and paragraphs, everybody. So you must have a chance in the day for practice with what you're blending with these students. For example, let's look at King Knox and His Knight. This is one of my favorite decodable books because it's not just the cat sat on the mat. That's what people think. Oftentimes, decodables are just cat, mat, sat on the rat. Look at this book on King Knox and His Knight. Okay, here's pages 3 and 4. And look what we are reviewing. We are reviewing the KN spelling for N that day. Okay, so look at all the words that have N as KN. We have Knox, Night, Knife, Knots, and No. Okay, just in this pages 3 and 4. Now look at what we are reviewing from previous lessons. We are reviewing NG endings, like in king. and in things. We are reviewing ER spellings in like for an ordered, reviewing IE in replied, IGH as in night, so reviewing both IE and IGH spellings, AR in sharpen, OW, which is spelled, says sound O in the word know, like I know you, and OW says ow, like in how and cow. So they're doing two reviews, OW saying O, OW saying ow. So you see, you give them success in reading and an ability to practice to build fluency. So why is decodable so important? It's connected text. It's high-interest decodables that allows children to experience early success and real read, not just guessing. So reinforce that these words that we are learning today are going to be in a story, and you're going to be able to read these stories, and including sight words. So what makes the language real is the sight words that are added, because you can't just say mat, rat, sat, cat. You have to say the mat sat on the cat sat on the mat. So you have to have on and the and you and said to make the language normal. So fluency is the bridge between decoding and reading comprehension. This has to be in part of explicit, systematic instruction in foundational skills. We have to have this fluency builder piece. So what are the 4 steps to explicit, systematic instruction in foundational skills? Are you ready? These are the 4 steps. Introduce sounds. Blend those sounds now to make words. Reinforce those sounds in text with decodable text. And finally, learn to spell the words in dictation. Okay, so we have 4 steps to explicit systematic instruction. Now, let's shift for a moment and talk about vocabulary. This is going to be the final few slides. The greatest challenge inhibiting the ability for ELs to read at appropriate grade level, everybody, is probably the lack of vocabulary. And I'm sure you're aware of this. This is very common knowledge. A lot of our ELs are fabulous at decoding. They just don't know what they're reading. Okay, and I was one of them. I got to be honest with you. English was not my first language. I could decode anything because my parents taught me phonics at home. So my phonics from a Romance language transferred over to English pretty well. So I could read. I just didn't comprehend. So let's take a look at a poll. Another poll, everybody. Are you ready? Okay. Tell me the percentage of words connected to Latin and Romance languages. This is going to really help with vocabulary development. So how many words do you think in English are connected to Latin or and Romance languages? Do you think it's a 30% connection, a 47% connection, a 58% connection, or a 75% connection to Latin? How much of English is connected to Latin-based languages? Lots of great answers. Okay, I think we're getting close. Okay, the most common response, it looks like 75% of you are thinking that it's, I'm sorry, 65% of you think it's D. 75% of English is connected to Latin-based words. And the actual answer, you're close, the actual answer is C. Latin and Romance languages influence the English language 58%. Okay, so close to 60% of English is connected to Latin. So for those of you who have students, I just want to show you on my right side of my screen, I want to show you, for those of you who have students coming from a Latin-based language, okay, it's going to be easy to comprehend a lot of our academic vocabulary, especially with the the Latin roots. So let's look at the word amicable in English. That's a tough word, right? That's not something we use every day. But because of the root ami, right, look at Latin. Latin, the word for friend, ami is friend. Amicus, in Spanish, amigo, in Italian, amico, and in French, ami. So you see how the base of the word really will help students with comprehension when it comes to academic vocabulary development. I also want to share with you cognates. I'm sure most of you know what cognates are. Cognates are words in 2 or more languages that share similar meanings and spellings and pronunciation. And for those of you with Spanish-speaking students, approximately 40% of all English words are related somehow to Spanish, similarly in spelling, meaning, and pronunciation. So I have a little chart here that's kind of helpful. Family, familia. Center, centro. Class, clase. Does that make sense, everybody? So these are words that even for you who may be just English speaking, you can make sense of Spanish. If I say to you transportación, you can figure out it's transportation. If I say to you elefante, I think you can get that it's elephant. So that's what makes it really easy for some of our students to comprehend language. Let's take a look at this particular lesson where I'm focusing on the word transported. You see 3 morphographs in the word transported: trans, port, and ed ending, ed. So there's 3 parts of this word, okay? So let's take a look at this. Ricardo's father transported his new automobile from Guadalajara to Denver. Asking students to get a dictionary out is your last resort. Let's make a true teachable moment out of this, okay, everybody? Trans, Latin for across, port means carry in Latin, and then ed is past tense, okay, pasado, past, pasado, very, very similar in Spanish. So you see how students can make sense of words just by their parts? Just by parts, everybody. The morphographic analysis, word analysis, is key to comprehending academic vocabulary. It's one, actually not the key, but very strong link to understanding academic vocabulary. Let's take a look at another tough, more difficult word, peninsula. Okay, peninsula. Look at how many languages have a similar look to peninsula. Spanish, what I have on the screen here. Spanish, French, Italian, Romanian. Look at that connection. Words, academic language, academic vocabulary are words that are traditionally used in academic dialogue and text, and we need to reinforce that. Starting by 2nd grade, students should understand word analysis, word parts. What does dis do to the word? What does in do to the word? What does able do to the word? If we take a look at common Latin roots and common Greek roots, for example, let's look at inaudible. Inaudible, it's easy to explain this. In, not, odd, AUD is for hearing, and able, unable to hear, right? Inaudible, unable to hear. You don't need a dictionary. This is an awesome, teachable moment, and it takes you 30 seconds to explain these word parts, which we know that if students actually learn, are you ready? 750 parts, morphographs, they can spell about 15,000 words. Okay, if you know 750 morphographs in English, word parts, you're able to spell about 15,000 words. Look at ology in Greek. Ology is the study of, and so geo is the earth. So geology, study of earth. So you see how students can really, you can help them with comprehension and vocabulary development. Now, current facts in the United States, there are over 381 languages spoken in the United States at this time. This is from the United Census Bureau, the most up-to-date. 21% of our students speak a foreign language at home. That's 60.6 million students, okay? Approximately 1 in 9 or 1 in 8. Now, by 2025, 1 in 4 will be considered limited English proficient, LEP. So we really have to do our best to differentiate our instruction and meet the needs of diverse learners. What I found in Education Week recently was a poll about what teachers want, what educators really want, and they really want support, strengthening programs and resources to help diverse learners. And they think 59% think it should be one of the school's highest priorities. So let's take a look at some, some support you can receive immediately. I'm excited to share with you that every Monday morning, we're going to have Monday Mornings with Marisa. You can go to opencourtreading.com, and what I'm going to give you are actual teacher tips teaching strategies and ways to differentiate instruction for your diverse learners. These are quick videos on YouTube. We launched them last week, so there's 2 out already. For the next 3 months, there's going to be a new video every month, and I'm going to model and explain routines and how to differentiate depending on the needs of your students. So that's something you can look at now, and hopefully that'll be helpful when it comes to differentiating instruction. I want to say thank you so much for attending the session today. It was truly a pleasure, and I hope you truly learned some valuable information today. This is recorded, and you will get a follow-up. And you can email us at, for any questions or concerns or any comments at webinars@mheducation.com. And thank you so much for your time today. Doug? Hello? I thought Doug was going to have some closing remarks. Let's see.
Hi, Marisa. Sorry, we were on mute.
Oh.
Thank you, everybody, for hanging in there, and thank you, Marisa, for the presentation.
Sure.
We do have a couple questions coming in, and if you guys have any questions, go ahead and enter those in now into the question box. Someone was asking, Maria's asking, where can we get those flashcards? I think she's referring to the alphabet cards, and also if they're available for all grades.
Oh, okay. The sound cards, let me go back to that because that's a great question. The sound spelling cards I actually was modeling from Open Court. They exist in K3. They're the Open Court sound spelling cards in K3. However, if you're interested in upper grade, there are sound spelling cards for the upper grade students in fourth on up. They come in the Breaking the Code series. So this is both on mheonline.com. You can get the Open Court Sound Spelling Cards, Open Court Foundational Skills Kits. In kindergarten, they're called alphabet sound cards because we don't get into every single spelling of English. That starts in first grade. So first, second, and third, they're the Open Court Sound Spelling Cards. Kindergarten are the Open Court Alphabet Sound Cards. And fourth on up, they come in a program called Breaking the Code. This is intensive intervention for fourth on up students who never receive foundational skills instruction. Okay. Thank you, Doug. That's a great question.
Absolutely. Let's see. Martha was asking about the YouTube link to go view your videos. Martha, we will chat that out here in just a second. We'll grab that and put that in the chat box for you and for everybody.
Oh, good. I'll put it back up, too. OpenCourtReading.com.
Yeah, OpenCourtReading.com is the website. And you can see the whole series there, so that's the best place to go. And then Lauren's asking, when working with older kids, would you suggest working on harder words or multi-syllable words for vowels, blending, and encoding beginning sounds? Or ending and beginning sounds, excuse me.
Older students, we want to reinforce the vowel patterns. Make sure they have their vowel patterns down. That's going to cause the most difficulty when reading, so focus on vowel patterns. What's the best thing to do? I don't know if you have what you have in your schools. If you have a first grade complete system for teaching reading, usually in the back there's an instructional emphasis chart that shows you the progression of the sounds of English, which sounds should be taught in what order depending on speech patterns and frequency. So if you have something in first grade, usually first grade has the most detailed charts because they're teaching students every sound and every spelling in English. If you don't have that handy, go to the Appendix A of the Common Core State Standards. Just Google it, Appendix A, Common Core State Standards, and I believe it's page 18 and 19 on Appendix A. That'll list all of your most common vowels and actually all the vowels and all the spellings to go along with that, and words that have that particular pattern in it. So that would be helpful. Another option would be to look at, if you have older students, fourth grade on up, there's a program called Spelling Through Morphographs. It is unbelievable. Spelling Through Morphographs is for fourth grade students and older on up. And this is where students will actually get the rules for combining the morphographs and extensive practice in applying the rules. So this will be, again, they'll learn the 750 morphographs, the word parts, and eventually spell 12,000 to 15,000 words. Okay, so these will be even Dolch words list and words that are most commonly misspelled in high school and college. It is unbelievable. For 20 minutes a day, this is such a gift for students who need that support in understanding word parts and helping with them with spelling. It's called Spelling Through Morphographs by SRA, and you can actually get that on mheonline.com.
Thanks, Marisa. Another question here from Allison. She's asking where she can find the contrastive analysis chart for speakers of other language that you referenced earlier in the presentation.
You know, I'm thinking you can probably Google one. I took the one out of the Open Court Teacher Resource Book. I love it because it talks about the top 13 languages spoken in the United States. I have it handy here in my home office, so I use that one. But most series now are putting that in because there are so many different languages spoken in the schools. So contrastive analysis charts are usually embedded in the series that you're using, or I'm assuming there must be some charts online. If you Google contrastive analysis charts, maybe say linguistic contrastive analysis chart because you're working on linguistic patterns.
Thanks, Marisa.
Sure.
One more question here. Is there a system for teaching word parts, Greek, and Latin roots for older students?
Oh, yes. I just mentioned that Spelling Through Morphographs is the best I've ever seen for older kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Looks like that's all the questions we have. A couple of people are asking if we're recording this, and yes, we are. We're going to be sending a link out to all of you who registered after the webinar. A few days after the webinar, you'll get the link with the recording. And if you have any questions for us, send them to webinars@mheducation.com. And Marisa, we want to thank you so much. Thanks for the great information. And
thank you, everybody.
For joining us. Take care, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Thank you.